And this estate was built in the 50s and 60s, and it was based around cycling and walking, what we call active travel now. And somehow this was set out with green spaces and an area to do that. But it never got followed up by places. And Peterborough had the same sort of thing with so-called 15-minute cities and parkways. And we're sort of having to go back now, all these years later, to try and cause and solve the congestion issues and the issues of having too many human beings trying to live in a pleasant place like Cambridge or to work there. And with that, we'll hand over to the candidates.
And I'll tell them when they've got 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone, and Eid Mubarak. So my name is Dalwar Hussain, and I am local Conservative councillor candidate by election 4th of July. And I was a candidate in last 4th of May as well. So lots of people already know me. So I born in Bangladesh, and maybe born in very low middle class family, and I worked hard for my student life. I walked 2 miles on foot with muddy road go to school. And from my school teacher, I learned very good thing. So plantation tree, the teacher always give us the advice to plant a tree. And I was in school captain, and my charge was collect the plant and plantation our school area, and I have to look after it. And that's my first leadership skill start. And I go for in college. I was elected in college parliament, and I was learning this parliament very well. And then I think I need to study politics because it gives me more practical learning to first. So when I study with political science, I did honors and masters in Bangladesh, and I worked 2 years in government sector as an enforcement coordinator, and moved in UK 2003. So last 20 years I'm living here, and I have a family man. I have 2 daughters. They born here, and they are going to study medicine, and they want to work this community in their own hand. They don't want to be scientists or other things, and they love to ride a bike. So always I'm thinking and caring about the bike. When people riding a bike, I think my daughter in front of me, and I believe the Cambridge bike infrastructure need to be more improved. People have to give a choice to ride a bike. And I'm as a taxi driver. I'm working so hard day and night, and I buy electric taxi in my own will to save the environment. And day and night, last 15 years, my experience, I saw the traffic condition in Cambridge was very poor, like up to 2017. When Cambridge A14 was developed in a 2-line to 3-line, Cambridge was better condition in traffic. And after 2017, Cambridge North station comes with 374 parking space and 850 bike rack. So make a better place for living. So all the traffic from center, they move this side. And fantastic news with South Cambridge station coming 2025. So this traffic will be moved other side as well. But unfortunately, so Labour and Lib Dem Council, they're doing some plan for congestion charge, and my community in King Hedges, so they are worried. So they are Muslim people, they are coming 5 times a day to pray their mosque, and they asking me why we have to pay 500 a day to come prayer. That's why I stand fast with them. I say your voice will be respected and heard. And I heard all the business group, local residents, everyone the same voice. We need to stop the church. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
250 trees there 2 years ago, and I've spent a lot of my life watering those trees. I think I'll have to water them again this summer. I also teach courses for the University of Third Age. Terry Pratchett, a course on sustainable books, and another course about carbon footprint. I care deeply about environment and social justice. Now, the congestion charge, I know it will come up again, but I'll just say what I want to say first. We recognised as from the start that the congestion charge was unfair. It's what they call a regressive tax. It means everyone has to pay the same, no matter how rich or poor they are. And Cambridge is a city with the biggest difference between the rich and the poor in the country. We suggested other sources of revenue, which I now see the GCP is looking at: the workplace parking charge, a tourist tax, and lots of other ideas. We've also been working very hard with the officials on exemptions and other ways of making the tax fairer. But we do need to do something. We have a problem with the air in Cambridge. We have terrible congestion in Cambridge. We have bad air pollution in Cambridge. And we have a dreadful bus service. And that's the end.
Testing, testing. Thank you. Thank you for organising today, and thank you for coming. I would also like to wish fellow candidates Eid Mubarak. I'm Jamie. I'm the Liberal Democrat candidate for the City Council role in King's Hedges. In my day job, I'm a chartered accountant. I work for a large charity on the Science Park, and I live on Hawkins Road in the heart of the ward with my wife, who's a teacher, and our two cats. We moved to King's Hedges about 5 years ago, but just from Chesterton. We've loved making it our home. We feel a part of a diverse and vibrant community, and we also really appreciate the green open spaces, which were an absolute godsend during lockdown. All of that comes together for the best community event each year, which is the Albury Carnival. However, as a community, and as Elizabeth has mentioned, we also have some really big challenges. So the latest data from the City Council shows that our ward has the lowest average income in the city. We have the highest rate of child poverty, and we have the lowest life expectancy. When Cambridge is described as the most unequal city in the UK, it is our community that is too often at the wrong end of that calculation. Speaking to people on the doorstep, too many feel like they're being ignored, abandoned, to echo the comments of Alex Collis as she resigned, that the council isn't listening. As a candidate and as a councillor if elected, my job is to help fix that. We need to ensure our community is not ignored. When it comes to matters like the GCP road charging plans, I think as also has been mentioned, a £5 daily charge for some in Cambridge might not have that big an impact, but for most of the households in our area it will have a huge impact, and that isn't being reflected in the conversations in the GCP right now. I look forward to more conversations on that issue tonight, honestly. However, there are other big issues that we need to be thinking about. We can't forget. One of the largest new housing developments in Cambridge is going to be built on our doorstep, known as Hartree, where the sewage works is. It will bring much needed homes. I want to see them, but it also will bring big investment, and we need strong voices in the council to make sure our community benefits from that. 70% of funding for a new swimming pool will come from Hartree, and right now the strategy is to invest that money in Newham. We need to change. We also need to ensure that we are not forgotten when it comes to basic council services, combating fly tipping, tackling antisocial behaviour, maintaining our roads, fixing the potholes, and protecting our green open spaces. I know how tough this will be to deliver. I've been a councillor before, representing Chesterton for 4 years. I know what the role involves, but it also means I can hit the ground running, and I'd love to help get things fixed for this community. I look forward to tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Please hold the mic up close to you, because I've got the mics up so much that we're going to get feedback. Right, we've got to have this really close now, sorry. As was said, this is caused by this by-election, which is on Tuesday, which is quite a rare event. It's only a Thursday. Was caused by the resignation of the councillor Alex Collis, who won with 39% of the votes. I think the only other candidate who stood previously in that election was Delaware, who got 32% of the votes at the last time. I should mention that the Labour candidate is Zareen Anwar, who was born in King's Hedges and is a forensic scientist for the police in London. Now, this ward is very typical of a lot of wards which have come disconnected from politics. It has one of the lowest turnouts for voters in the area. It has a third of the children here living in poverty, and house prices here are a lot lower than in CB2 and CB3. So there are a lot of issues in this area which aren't being addressed, and hopefully your next councillor, which will be one of these, or possibly one of the four you've got to vote for, will come up with that. I'm going to kick off the first question, and the first question I'd like our candidates to answer is, how did you get here tonight? When did you last use a bus? And do we need a congestion charge in Cambridge? If you could answer that, thank you.
I came here by my taxi, and it is a electric taxi, is a environment friendly. And I have no chance to use bus because I am always in public service transport. I am helping people day and night. Next question.
The final one was, do we need the congestion charge?
Oh, definitely not. Is a capital no, because Cambridge has 92% land is open space and green belt. We have been living in a very fantastic air quality zone in UK, and we have two station comes. One is 2017, one is coming 2025. So it will be reduce the traffic very much. And A14 is improved, no traffic this way. Now only some hypocrite policy maker, they close the road in COVID time. They say it is COVID restriction. I study politics. I don't know how the COVID go into this side road. They put in the flower pot into middle of the road, and after that they put a metal barrier. Only bike can pass, no traffic can go through. So they intentionally build up the traffic and want to show people Cambridge is congested, and they make a 2 line to 1 line. They close the roundabout. They make it all the mess and ask people to sort it out, pay tax 5 pounds a day, and we reduce traffic. So they are hypocrite because they want one side closing the road, making traffic, and other side they're asking people to reduce the traffic.
Hello everyone again. Questions. How did I get here? I cycled, of course. It only took me 5 minutes. When did I last use a bus? I think it was on Saturday. I went into town on the bus with my husband. We had a very nice meal and we came back again. Use the bus a lot. You've got somehow the government's given the council or some Greater Cambridge Council electric buses, and now the Tomb's become an electric bus. It means I'm going to have so much pollution pouring into my house. Congestion charge, we need some money to do something about the bus service. We really need some money. Now, you won't like me saying this, but I'm going to say it anyway. The government's pouring millions into Cambridge, and it wants to increase the land values. Could they not spend a couple of $100 million on improving our bus service, the Conservative government? Next question. So, we need some money. Do we need a congestion charge? Probably, possibly, but we've got to do something. Anyway, that's it.
Drivers don't have to pay. They shouldn't have to pay to improve services. Why should drivers...
Can you speak through the chair, please? I'm sorry.
Sorry, we will have questions come through.
Later. You don't shout at the candidates when they're talking. Sorry. It's their time to speak. You'll have time later if you get chosen to ask a question. Speak quiet, please. Thank you. Sorry. Do you want to continue?
No, I finished.
Thank you. Can you not interrupt, please? Just let them say their bit. If I like you, I'll ask you a question. If you're not good, I won't. You're on the list. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. To answer the questions, honestly, I walked here tonight. I live in the middle of the ward. Last time I was on a bus was last week, but it was in London. Last time I was on a Cambridge bus was probably a couple of months ago. I normally cycle actually around Cambridge. That's my main route of transport. But like most people, we also have a household and a car in the household, which is very, very useful. Like most people, I walk, I cycle, I drive. That's the normal lifestyle, I think, in Cambridge. When it comes to the congestion charge proposal, I would echo the point that we do need to improve public transport desperately in this area, and that is going to need both capital funding, which is actually what's already there with the DCP proposal, but it needs revenue in the future. The problem we've got is that subsidy shouldn't just fall on those who drive in Cambridge. I think there are a number of funding options that are being explored by the County Council, and what we now need to start to see is a proper plan developed that looks at the different revenue sources. I'm strongly advocating that with county councillors, and I hope to see a real plan for the whole county with a proper integrated transport plan developed for them. Thank you.
Do you want to have the question? Right, now we'll open it up to people on the floor. If anyone has a question, if they can keep it fairly short.
Put your hand up.
If you put your hand up. Guy at the back there, thank you. What's your name?
So it's a great shame that the Labour candidate isn't here tonight. Given that I'm strongly against the congestion charge as a way of funding an improved transportation infrastructure in Cambridge, and the Liberal Party are strongly pro the congestion charge, why would I vote for either of those parties in the election?
Stupid.
I think it's Jamie to answer first, actually. The question is, why should they vote for you? That's the same for all of you, by the way.
Thank you. So I would push back on the view that the entire Liberal Party is totally pro congestion charge.
Yeah.
What we are confirmed on, the absolute surety across the party, is we need to improve public transport. That is going to require buses. I know, fundamentally. Sorry, we need to improve our public transport. We do.
Run somebody out first.
Yeah.
Thanks, mate. Have a good evening. People are angry, and I do understand why. I think we've seen different meetings this week where it hasn't felt like the real concerns have been addressed. It's still all been about the level of revenue being generated and the traffic reduction levels. It's not been about people's lives, and I think that's a problem. When you're voting in this election, you are voting for a candidate. You're voting for someone who is going to represent this area for the next 4 years. I will be, whatever happens, I will be part of these conversations. I'm a very active person in local politics. I will be pushing for a fairer deal for this area. But if I'm an elected councillor, I'll have a lot more strength in my elbow to do that. If elected, I would be a Liberal Democrat councillor for King's Hedges, but I'd also be a King's Hedges representative in the Liberal Democrats, and that's important. Thank you.
Why vote for me? Well, I'm not a Liberal Democrat or a Conservative or a Labour, so I have something positive to say. The Green Party, when we read the congestion charge, Sustainable Travel Zone document, it was obvious that it was going to be unfair, and we started working on it and making loads of suggestions about how to make it fairer. We've been working with the GCP officials on exemptions and a lot of other ideas as well. Because we're the party that works on evidence. We're also the party that listens to people. I think working in King's Hedges as a councillor would be very hard work, and it will take a lot of time. And people who have other jobs might have a problem in devoting enough time to the people of King's Hedges. I think that's enough.
Yeah.
Thank you. I believe where is will, there is way. One example, London have 11 underground line, 2074 underground stop, 8,600 bus, 19,000 bus stop. This money is not from congestion charge. That's money from taxpayer money. So we have a city deal. We have still money in our pot. And if you want, we can arrange the money. Like a South Cam MP, he can arrange 57 billion for this East-West rail. What is our MP doing? So we don't need a millions or billions of pounds for improve the bus or buy. If we want, we can use the taxpayer money, not for the scourge poor people and killing all the business and destroy the city. The city was not built on a day, and you cannot kill in a day. So we need to raise our voice. We stop the congestion charge plan immediately, and we have to find another way to take connected like a fast rail or underground to the important business area. Then we can reduce the traffic. This age people need a fast movement. We cannot rely everything on bus and bike. People need to go to work. After drop their children to school, within 15-20 minutes they have to go to work for their living. They're not driving for hobby. So we need to consider the driver as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We've got, I think we'll tone it down a bit now. Let's talk about toilets. I think we need a break from people. People are getting a little bit uppity, and we are in a pub, so we're all drowning our sorrows if we just talk about the congestion charge all evening. The city, this has come in from someone around, I don't know who it's from, there's no name on it. The City Council has closed the 2 public toilets in Arbury Court and King's Hedges, Lernerpool. Of the 20 public toilets across Cambridge, which I find quite staggering, you only have 20 toilets in Cambridge actually, there is only one in the north of the city, at Chesterton Rec, and that's only open at weekends. What would you well, you can have what would you do to improve our public toilets in King's Hedges? In fact, what would you do to actually bring some toilets to King's Hedges? I think it's in this
Trust me to be asked to talk about toilets. Well, the Chesterton Rec toilet is disgusting. I've been in there with grandchildren. You have to hold your nose and think of England or something to use it. That's the problem with public toilets. They do get abused. I think they should reinstate the one in Arbury Court and the other one as well. But there are issues about it. I know a lot of public toilets get a lot of vandalism and other problems. So, more toilets? Yes, why not?
Thank you. I want to add one more public toilet is closing in Mill Road, was the busiest area. So this is the 2020, 2023, the best age of our civilization. And when we eat and drink, and we need to, with a natural fund, we have to pass it as well. So we need to more public toilet build, not to destroy. So otherwise people will be do their pee or poo, or the children will be used to do on the road. It will be like another antisocial behavior. All the international people saw this video or images, they will criticize the British people. So I don't want it. I am seriously opposing to closing all the toilet. I believe more toilet need to build every corner of the road and need to be look after it properly. People need to be usable, and this is my view. No closure. We need to build more. Thank you.
Not quite that way. Sorry. I should mention really. So this is actually the absolute passion of a colleague of mine at City Council, Councillor Katie Porrer, who has been a very strong advocate for protecting public loos across the city. But typically she is very much based in the central and west of the city, and therefore the north area has been, a little bit forgotten. They are really important. As someone who canvasses around the city, I can also say that there's nothing worse than when you're stuck in a public space, desperately needing a loo, and there's nowhere to go. We need to reverse those those cuts. We need to look at good sites to build them as well. So around community centres where there is actually the ability to keep them, looked after and protected. I would, for example, I'd look at the Nunsway Rec as well and see if there's an opportunity to invest there. The opportunity to do that is actually in the budgeting cycle. So if I was a councillor, I would be putting in capital bids to ultimately get the funding we need to get the facilities we need in this area. Thank you.
We'll go back to ask questions in the audience again. And it's quite interesting to talk about toilets, though. Yeah. I was at a festival the weekend, and they put toilets up, not a problem at all. And builders seem to have. I don't understand why local authorities have such an issue over toilets.
Let's open them and we ran it. Yeah.
I know the reason why the toilets are shut is because they're vandalised, and they're vandalised because the youth of Arbury have nothing to do in the evenings. I want to know which one of the candidates will be prepared to open a youth club so they have some constructive things to do. Also, the rec, when my son runs a football team, he has to pay to go on that rec. Every day when he has a football match, he has to clear up the poo. He pays a fortune to £40 to hire that. The council hardly maintain it. That's over on Arbury. Do you know where I mean? The back of King Hedges School, Nuns Way. And he's running that to help the youth. There's nothing round here for the children to do. Okay.
Thank you. Well, we started last time.
Thank you very much for your question. Yeah, King Hedges is the biggest issue when I doorstep by heart. Always is antisocial behavior. And antisocial behavior, I cannot say only the policing is the job. It should be teaching.
No.
They need to educate it. They need to. We need to do some young people to do something activity. So we need to build some sports, and we need to build some swimming pool. Unfortunately, the swimming pool go from King Hedges to Newnham, Christchurch area. So we need to all the young people keep them active. Don't do antisocial behavior or don't do other way. Keep them active and educate them. And we have a very close connected with Police and Crime Commissioner. He comes 2 times doing all the doorstep and listening same day story. So yes, we need to do some vigilant the police as well. And in the men's side, we need some creation activities. Children can be more active. Don't do the waste their time and do something drug or smoking or other issue. So I think we need to both way. We need to educate family, children, and policing, and we need council have a big response to make some park to be usable. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe the council is short of money, and they've had to make quite a lot of cuts in things like youth clubs and what have you. But when I was elected councillor for King's Hedges, I would earnestly pursue funding for a youth club. It may well be that it could be voluntary plus a bit of money, but I'm sure there might be a funding source we could go to. People are angry all over Cambridge. People are angry in Britain. We're angry because we feel no one's listening to us. We're angry because we feel disempowered. This GCP is not elected. It's run by somebody from the City Council, and I believe 2 county councillors, and then on it as well there's a representative from the university and a representative from the business district, and sometimes the mayor of Peterborough and whatever it is goes along as well. But they are not directly elected. Anyway, that's off the point. But people are angry. We need to do something about it.
Thank you. So, as I mentioned, my wife's a teacher. I think the point she raised around around some of the behaviour issues we've got actually are point to a much bigger crisis, international one. Lockdown had a huge impact on young people. There are year 8s in school now who basically didn't finish primary school, and we haven't invested to address it. We should be investing to address it. A youth club, proper youth club facilities, and using the physical facilities we already have in the area is critical. I think it's an essential thing. It is something that the county council has more of a responsibility on. but that's something we should be talking to our county councillors on. We should be demanding the money, because it's otherwise we're going to be letting a generation just fall away. At the same time, we need to maintain facilities. As I've mentioned, I think King's Hedges is being ignored a lot. A policy we used to have, which has been cut, was city rangers. They would be, working around the area to make sure that sites were clean, sites were safe. There's dog poo, but there's also actually needles in certain playgrounds. And we need to keep our children safe. We need to be able to enjoy those facilities, and it should be something we proactively do, not just respond when residents ultimately call for help.
Thank you on that. I think it's quite sad actually that children are not having the sports facilities. I know there's an excuse that the places are vandalised, but this generation of children have had the worst time. They've had the worst time during COVID. My son couldn't take his exams, then they came up. He hasn't been able to do his sport, and we're losing the ability to play sport and enjoy it. And I know this area, which we'll come back to, lacks sports facilities, it lacks investment. It has the lowest priority for cycling money from the City Council and beyond. So you are ignored, and these are the people you've got to get on to get the best one of the four who's going to represent you. Is there any question, anyone else out there? I've got a question here I can ask, I think.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Closer. Right, okay. So, my name is David Smith. So, I find it interesting that from the Liberal Democrat and the Green prospective candidates that they seem to have come a long way in the last 9 months, because I know that 9 months ago they weren't even acknowledging the congestion charge as an issue, and I can say that personally because I spoke to you, Jamie, at the Mill Road Winter Fair on your stand and said about it, and you didn't want to talk about it. You said it was a small issue, and the only reason really that you've actually that's not a lie. That's not a lie.
Can we ask a question?
Okay, I'll skip a few things then, and I'll come to the point and say you have no mandate. The Liberal Democrats and Labour have no mandate. They didn't go to the electorate at any time and say they were going to do the congestion charge. So anything they've done since in ignoring it and supporting it, ignoring it to the electorate and supporting it privately via the GCP, they have no mandate, and that's the problem that you have. You didn't ask the people. I'd like you to comment on that, please.
The question is, I think, to sum up, do you have a mandate for is there a mandate for the congestion charge? And well, I think we start here.
Yes, I have a very big mandate. Is a capital no, N-O, no. Cambridge is very better air quality zone. People are changing their behavior to buy electric car and hybrid car, and we have a very good station coming. And if they reverse the road closure, so we have not any big issue. Poor people have to be charged, and the recessed Cambridge University will take the facility from there. So if the Cambridge University, AstraZeneca, all the big companies there, they can contribute some money to improve our public transport. Thank you.
Last question. Thank you, David. I didn't realise you were in King's Hedges. But anyway, with that, and I did not say it was a small issue. I said we were talking about other issues that day, and we were. Fundamentally, I think there is a very fair point in there, even if it's made from a Conservative deputy chair of the local party, is it? No. But fundamentally, yeah, no, I do agree that actually, for something like this to go forward, it should be there within the manifestos of the parties elected to county council. And we will see what the county councillors are going to do. So the county councillors are the people with control on this. That's fundamentally the case. And well, I think we've seen from reports they're pushing out, they're looking at a lot of other options right now. Interestingly, what has happened, and what I would note, is that the original city deal was signed by 3 Conservatives and 1 Labour. That was actually who signed the agreement, including Steve Count, who is still currently the county council leader for the Tories. So fundamentally, they keep saying this is nothing to do with them. They actually brought about this. They agreed the structures. If they think it's not representative, why did they create what we have now? It's ridiculous. It's just the Conservatives rewriting history, having failed to deliver anything for the past 5 years. So I just find it laughable, actually. But at the same time, I will not be supporting a scheme which doesn't have a mandate from the people through vote, and that's something I commit to. But to hear that coming from the Conservatives is ridiculous. Thank you.
There you go. Right, the Green Party from the get-go has been against this and said it was an unfair tax. That is true, it's in all our documents. We produced an 11-page report and sent it into the consultation, the only party who did so. We suggested other ways of raising money as well. My councillors have been hard at work working with various people involved. But we have a problem here in Cambridge. We have a city council, we have a county council, we have the Cambridge Peterborough Group, and we have the Greater Cambridge Partnership. Really, it's a mess. When you say, what should we do about potholes? Oh, well, well, I think it's the county council. What should I do about, somebody complained to me, the bus seat had gone in the shelter. So I contacted the county council, and they've run out of money because they spent all the money on a Conservative investigation of an underground system that spent several millions. It was James Palmer. Yeah. So, I don't know how you go about this. Mandate, very difficult. But we've got to do something. We've got to do something about Cambridge and its congestion, climate change, and so on. But the Conservative government could give us money. They're giving 7 billion to Cambridge because they see it as a really good money pot. They see it as a place where they can increase land values. So the people who own the land in Cambridge, I haven't got time now, I can do that later, will make loads of money. It's not me.
Yeah.
Thank you. There's another question that someone who's bashful, and look,
I'm a bit bashful.
Are you bashful?
Yeah.
I was going to ask this one here, and then I'll come to you. Okay?
I have a really important question.
Really? Is it about congestion charge?
No.
Is it about King's Hedges?
Well done. In a way.
No, because it is
Really
King's
question.
Hedges.
Could I ask the three candidates where they think the Labour candidate is tonight?
We covered
I think to be fair, we are not. They did want to read us to read a statement out, which is basically a long statement attacking the Conservative government. I refuse to do that because they haven't turned up. They haven't shown you the courtesy of turning up. Therefore, I don't think we'll speculate where there are. To be fair, there are religious ceremonies going on today, and I don't know the circumstances of that particular candidate. So let's hold it there.
They wouldn't send a substitute.
Their plans. I did speak to the chairman of the group leader of the City Council, Mike Davey, yesterday to try and find out why the candidate and if they were coming, and he sent me a message late last night. They wouldn't send a candidate and they wouldn't send a substitute, so there you go. This question here. There were plans to roll out resident parking permits in all areas across the city. Would you support or oppose this for King's Hedges if elected to the City Council?
Why should we pay to park outside our house?
That's what I'm going to ask. That's what it is. Oh, sorry.
This young lady's
hang on, I'm going to ask. There are plans to roll out resident parking permits on all streets across the city. The person asking the question says, Would you support or oppose this for King's Hedges if elected to the City Council?
Well, I really don't know. Some areas where they've got, I'm just being honest. Okay. Some areas where they have residence parking, it's very difficult if you're visiting them, and it's quite complicated. But we have some areas of Cambridge where it's impossible to park a car. I'd have to look at the financial case for it. I'd have to look at I'm being honest, I'd have to look at the reasons why and the reasons against, and I would deeply look at the evidence that it was good. And then I would decide. I'd also ask the people who live in King's Hedges what they think. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you for an honest answer. I've done a bit more on parking, so I do know a bit more about it. That's my, yeah. Like, I don't see any need in King's Hedges. It is something that sometimes residents really want, particularly around the city centre. They come home, they literally can't park anywhere near their homes because of commuters. But I would be surprised if commuters were going to be travelling as far to the city centre as from King's Hedges. It would bring additional costs. There are costs for the permit each year, there's costs for the tickets you need for visitors, and this community doesn't need additional costs during a cost of living crisis. So, clear answer, no, but the only thing I would say is then if somehow there's suddenly an incredible demand from residents, then it's something you have to revisit, but I don't see one at the moment.
Thank you. If you go only 15 miles away from here to Ely, and you see the parking, the very big sign, there's a free parking, and you are welcome to come back again. Think how the council and the people are councillor, they are generous for residents. And this council, the Labour Council and Lib Dem Council, they want to know how to destroy and punishing people. So if you have a car, so where you park? You have to place somewhere to park. I asked to arrange some decent parking for everywhere. So people should not be charged for every penny for this.
Thank you very much. We're going to take a short break now, I think. Go and recharge your batteries, recharge your drinks, recharge your anger cells, and we'll